Today we gather to mark a significant milestone in our ongoing journey to improve waste management and public health in our communities. As we continuously seek ways to improve the services offered to our citizens, it is with immense pride that we officially hand over 50 new garbage trucks to the National Solid Waste Management Authority. This is a testament to your government's commitment to maintaining a clean and sustainable environment for all Jamaicans. There will come a time when we no longer have ceremonies for handing over garbage trucks. But we are not at that point yet. It's a big deal and we have to make a big deal over it. There's quite a bit of public narrative around what is happening in Jamaica. And sometimes the narrative is not complete. It doesn't take into consideration the full context. It doesn't account for a period of time in Jamaica when we simply didn't have the resources to invest in our fleet of garbage collection equipment. We just didn't have the resources. Since this administration, however, we have been steadily and consistently investing in our fleet of garbage collection equipment. In 2016, when we just took over, we were able to do 4 garbage trucks. In 2017, we were able to do 13 garbage trucks. In 2018, we did 17 garbage trucks. In 2019, we did 11 garbage trucks. Steadily investing and renewing the fleet, which was not significant, was old, could not provide the service that we need. And even during the pandemic in 2020, we were still able to invest in our fleet. We bought 20 new garbage trucks even during the pandemic. So, by the way, this is the first time that any government has been consistently increasing and renewing the fleet. First time. In 2022, we made our largest acquisition yet, with 50 new garbage trucks. And now, today, we proudly add another 50 new garbage trucks, bringing the fleet to 165 new trucks. That's the largest number of new equipment that has ever been added to the fleet of the NSWMA. We're doing this at a cost of 1.3 billion Jamaican dollars. We're not borrowing this money. This is not a grant. This is a direct result of the effective and disciplined management of the economy. That we are able to do this out of our own resources. And as the economy continues to be stable, and as it continues to grow, we are going to make a priority out of allocating the dividends of that growth to ensuring that we have the capabilities of keeping our municipalities, our townships, keeping your road, your beaches, your parks, your markets clean. So, what you're seeing here is a significant investment in keeping Jamaica clean. Now, notice that I've used the term garbage truck, and then I might say equipment, because it is not only trucks that we need, the typical compactor trucks. We need other equipment, and within this addition of 50 new trucks, some of them are crane trucks, which are necessary to lift heavy loads. And I'm not going to go into the detail that Minister Mackenzie went into, to say that we now have the capabilities to remove old cars and other abandoned equipment and bulky waste that are left on the side of our roads. We now have that capability, and within the law, we intend to use it. So you will see not just an improvement in the collection of plastics and other forms of domestic waste, you will see an improvement in our capabilities to remove bulky waste items from our streets and markets and parks. We also have in this lot of trucks, tipper trucks. Again, another important capability. So these are trucks that you will be able to top load, probably using the crane trucks or forklifts or backhoes or excavators, and you will be able to carry much more load in these tipper trucks, and you will now be able to go to designated areas and then offload. So that gives greater capabilities, not just to carry organic waste or plastics, but you now have the ability to move, for example, construction waste, heavy debris. So that adds another capability to the NSWMA, heavier kinds of bulky waste. And then we have some trucks that are called scouts. Scouts. And these are smaller trucks that are able to articulate in our lanes and small roads, because there are some areas where the conventional size compactor trucks just simply cannot go. And so these little trucks that we call them scouts, they will be able to go into the nook and cranny to actually get at your solid waste. Now, this new addition of equipment, as you can see, will increase the service quality and capability of the NSWMA. So we can now tackle bulky waste. We can now go into communities that previously we could not access because of the size of the roadways. We can now transport heavier loads and bulkier waste because of the capabilities of the tipper trucks. But it gives us another capability, and that is in expanding our waste separation initiative. Now, the NSWMA has a waste separation program which is in a limited number of communities within the country. The intention is to increase the capabilities of the NSWMA so that we can now make it a national requirement for garbage separation. And for those who may not understand what we are speaking about when we say the separation of waste, we want to be able to pack our plastic waste separately from our organic and other forms of waste. In other words, because plastic is that kind of waste which is very difficult by itself to degrade, but it has the capability of being recycled. If you, at the point of disposal, pack it separately from your other waste, then it adds an economic value to it because it is more easily recovered and more easily recycled. If you put all the waste together and then you dump it at the dump or at your sanitary landfill if you prefer, then somebody has to go through it and sort and separate. That adds an additional cost and takes away from the economic value. And so most countries now are instituting laws and policies to encourage their householders, their homeowners, their consumers to be conscious about how they dispose of their waste. And a part of that consciousness is to be deliberate in separating plastics and other forms of recyclable materials, paper and so forth, from your organic and other forms of waste. Jamaica will eventually go down that road. We have a roadmap for this, and we are already working out how that should be done. We have taken very progressive steps in dealing with plastics. We have implemented a ban on single-use plastics. We have instituted a program for the collection of plastic bottles around the country. And now, with the increased capabilities of the NSWMA, they can now collect several tons using their tipper trucks, using their cranes. They can now collect several tons of plastic waste. So if you separate it, the NSWMA will be able to collect it. That's the idea. Now, the number of trucks, remind me of this, 10? 10 tipper trucks? The number of tipper trucks that we have wouldn't be able to deploy this island-wide for all communities. But we are going to expand the number of communities in which we have this garbage separation initiative. We already have planned to institute garbage separation for public bodies and public entities, including schools. And that plan is being developed and will be rolled out shortly. But you can't roll out these plans without having all elements of it in place. So if we're going to ask people to separate, then we must have the capabilities to collect. So we're building the capabilities as we go along. Now, how will these trucks be distributed? The Western Parks and Markets, that is Trelawney, Hanover, St. James, and Westmoreland, they will get 11 trucks, including 1 crane truck, 2 scouts, 2 tippers, and 6 compactors. The MPM, that I suspect is the Metropolitan Parks and Markets, they will get, which includes Kingston and St. Andrew, St. Catherine, and St. Thomas, they will get 14 of these trucks, which include 1 crane truck, 2 scouts, 4 tippers, 5 compactors, and 2 compactors will be assigned to the commercial arm of MPM. The SPM Waste Management Limited, which includes Clarendon, Manchester, and St. Elizabeth, they will get 11 trucks to include 1 crane truck, 2 scouts, 2 tippers, and 6 compactors. And the NEPM, I suspect this is the Northeastern Parks and Market, they will get, which includes St. Anne, St. Mary, and Portland, they will get 9 trucks, which includes 1 crane, 2 scouts, 2 tippers, and 4 compactors. And additionally, 5 compactors will be allocated to the roving team. It has a very unique name, the Sweep Cop. So those of you who are on the Sweep Cop team, you will have 5 compactor trucks assigned to your duties. So we have distributed them evenly, essentially, around the island. This is not the last of the trucks to come. We need many more, at least twice what we have now, in order to be able to keep a schedule that would be effective in collecting all the waste that we generate. But the long-term solution is not for the government to be the one to operate these trucks and to be collecting garbage. In many jurisdictions around the world, this is a service that is contracted out and the government pays for it. What the government does is to monitor and regulate the separation of the role. Right now, the NSWMA, which by law has the duty to monitor and regulate, is also the person collecting the garbage. So the NSWMA intrinsically has to trade off regulating collection standards versus having to deal with the realities of the economy in order to just survive. Where we're heading is to have those two roles separated. And we are well down the wicket in developing a plan to have the garbage collection element of our municipal waste collection system, to have that divested. Now, whenever I talk about divestment, there's somebody going to say, what that mean? I'm going to have to pay for my garbage collection? Because we're not yet at the point where we understand that not every public service has to be delivered by the government. In fact, it is much more economical and efficient and oftentimes at a better quality of service if the government contracts out the service delivery to a private entity. And eventually, that is where we will have to reach. It has no impact on you, the homeowner, the consumer. You won't face any cost for that. But in terms of how the government structures itself for service delivery, contracting out that service is far more efficient. Because, when you're government, you have to be thinking about all kinds of other things in terms of managing an entity versus when the entity is wholly and solely focused on just one thing. It can develop efficiencies and economies of scale, which governments can't. So the long-term solution for our problem, which we are very close to implementing, is to eventually divest this side of the public waste collection system for private contractors to operate. In any event, like it or not, that is partially the model that we now have. Because in the absence of government being able to purchase the trucks over these last 3 or so decades, we have had to contract with private compactor owners. But the way in which it has been done is we contract with a little person here, with another one here, and another one over there, and we haven't been able to truly get the scale that we have actually needed. So in effect, yes, the government not being able to fulfill its role in actually providing the trucks and providing the service, they have been contracting out. The government has been contracting out, but not at the scale and quality that is needed. And so we are now structuring a new program which will give us the scale and quality service without costing you anything more. And I think that is what the consumer would want to know. So the objective, therefore, is for the government's resources to reach to the point where buying 50 new trucks is a routine, that we don't have to keep a ceremony to celebrate garbage trucks. Consider it. But that is the state that we are recovering from, where there was such a deficit in the capital capabilities of the NSWMA, that because we have been able to do it not once but twice at this magnitude, it is something that the public has to take note of. And it is something that we have to bring to the minds of the public to remind them so that they don't take it for granted. But eventually, Jamaica is going to reach to that point where buying these trucks are standard. This is what we budget for every year in our normal and routine maintenance of our capital budget. But we're not there yet, but we are getting to that point. So, my friends, this is a significant moment. But the real moment is to come when Jamaica finally realizes its true potential as a powerful economy that has the resources to maintain and continue to invest in its capital capabilities to deliver the quality services that you need. As I close, in my budget presentation, I announced a $2.5 billion program to clean up Jamaica. We have started to structure that program to develop a way in which we're going to deliver this. It is not going to be like other cleanup programs that we have had. This program will have institution and endurance, meaning we'll put a structure in place to make sure that it is run by rules, it is transparent, it affords participation of the citizens, and the objectives are transparent and understood. And it will have endurance, meaning that it's not just for one budget cycle. We will do this for several budget cycles. And it will treat with not just the surface level problems, it will deal with the deeper problems that confront us. So as it relates to keeping our townships, our parks, our roadways clean, when you look at the composition of the waste that you see that offends us all, 90% of it is plastic. It's not orange peel. It's not so much paper. It is plastics. So this program will target the collection of plastics. So yes, there will be a component to remove bulky waste. There will be a component to generally clean important corridors, parks, and critical urban municipalities, town centers as you call them. But there will be a component where we will pay people to collect plastic and we will buy the plastic back from them. That's the objective. So in other words, we will create a market for waste plastics. And in that way, anyone could see an economic opportunity and decide now to start on their own to collect plastics because there is a market for its sale. So we're taking this allocation and we're going to use it to incentivize persons to assist with the collection of plastics. But it could even incentivize the consumers of plastics. Because if you realize that, yes, you could get a money off of this empty plastic bottle, instead of just tossing it through the window, you might put it in your bag and take it home and store it up until it reaches 50 pounds, and then you call one of the recycling companies and say, look, I have 50 pounds. They will send for it, or the NSWMA will come for it. And you get a smalls off it. So that's the whole idea. So we're taking creative approaches to solve this issue of the improper disposal of our waste in Jamaica. So ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure. Let us now go and inspect these trucks.